I-77 southbound before Percival, exit 15. Highway 1 at North Grampians Road, Hills Road. Goodness, that's hard. That's getting cleaned up. Also looking at I-26 eastbound at Bush River Road, also in the cleanup stages, and 277 southbound after Fontaine Road. We are under a tornado watch until 9 o'clock tonight. The rain will continue or be on the increase, as well as the winds. Could see from this system 2 to 5 inches and heavier gusty winds. High of 79 today. A little bit of rain and wind tomorrow. Then it clears out. High of 86. Currently, some scattered rain, 75.
Nine o'clock on your Thursday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central along with you as we navigate through the bye week. Of course, nothing new to report when it comes to South Carolina as the players had their last day of practice for the week yesterday, getting a long weekend before they turn their attention to Ole Miss coming up next Saturday afternoon, 3:30 kick here in Columbia. Plenty to dive into, though, about where we stand at this point in the season as we make our way through the end of September this upcoming weekend. But as always, we got to kick things off with a little sandstorm. It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car at work, call George Sink now at 803 all nines. I got to give the dose of sandstorm during the week because, of course, you're not going to be able to hear it this weekend because there's no game. So got to get your fill while you're listening to the Extra Point here as the week goes along. We'll get Jack in here in just a second as we kind of examine things. And again, that's what the bye week is a really good opportunity to do, is to sit and kind of reflect on where you're at through multiple stages of this team, whether it be the record, whether it be transfers, which we talked a lot about yesterday, and just kind of evaluating the performance of everything right at a third of the way through the season. By the way, we're going to get another chance to do this at the end of October because of the way the calendar falls this year, where you have the 2 bye weeks, because technically the season started a week earlier than it than it normally does. So a good time to kind of sit and assess what is going on with everything. What I wanted to get into today is the month of September itself. And we talked about this going into the season. In the Shane Beamer era, the month of September has not been good to this program. Now, most of those times in that month, you were taking on a team like Georgia, which is one that Shane Beamer has never had the opportunity to beat. So you were already kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit with that month anyway. Going into this year, we viewed the month of September as a challenge for sure, given the fact you had 2 conference games. I don't care who your conference opponents are; those are always going to be tough games. And as we've said many times, the hope was that you'd be able to at least go split those games, right? At least beat some combination of either Kentucky or LSU, and that's exactly what you did. Now, of course, the context of what happened with LSU is something that is a bitter pill to swallow now because, of course, if the officiating was a little more down the middle and if Lenora Sellers doesn't get hurt, you probably walk out of that game with a victory. And we're talking about 4-0 and, Carolina being ranked and all that kind of stuff, which would be a fantastic place to to be sitting, which unfortunately is not the case as of right now. So as we bring Jack in here now, sitting at 3-1, and it's something that we've not really said specifically, this is the best opening month the Beamer era has ever had.
Yeah, it's been great so far. 3-1 to start the season. I mean, look, like you said, there is an argument to be made that Carolina should be 4-0 to start the year. I mean, that LSU game is what it is. You can't do anything about it now. But I think if Lenora Sellers is healthy and playing the rest of that game, with the way the offense was clicking for the first time really all year, I think it would have carried over into the second half with that LSU defense not being able to make nice stops in that first half. But that's besides the point. I mean, they've gotten off to a great start. And like you said, the Beamer era in September has been notably not great. You've had seasons with 2 losses, or in some cases 3 losses, and it digs you in a real tough hole. That said, this next month of October is going to be extremely tough and could put you in a hole just based on the fact you could go 0-3 with a legit chance to lose to Ole Miss, Alabama, and Oklahoma. But I think this team is different this year. I think defensively they give you a chance each time out. And we'll see what happens with the offense. We'll see if Lenoris is ready to go for Ole Miss and then Rocket Sanders and stuff. But I really do like this team's chances this year to at least be competitive and have a chance in all 3 of these games.
And that's a good point that you bring up, and something that we've mentioned, several times already this week, that when you play defense the way that Carolina has, especially if you can continue to put pressure on quarterbacks, you're going to have a chance in every game. I'm not saying you're going to win every game. I mean, look, playing Ole Miss and Alabama are uphill battles. Carolina's not going to be favored in either one of those, and I don't know many people that are going to pick the Gamecocks to win those games. But if you run into an Alabama that, was shooting itself in the foot for 50 minutes against South Florida, South Carolina's team to capitalize on that if you continue to play defense the way that you do. So you have a little more optimism going into this month of October than I think a lot of people had at the beginning of the season. And that's something else, too, compared to the other seasons of the Beamer era, where the month of September has not treated them well. It's really a mindset thing, too, where you don't go into the month of October feeling like your back's kind of up against the wall, where there's no margin for error. Of course, the objective is always to win every single game that you play, but, you're coming back from like last year in what was a disastrous month of October, where you kind of went in already having, a couple losses there to North Carolina and Georgia. It's like, man, we got to get things together. We got to pick up a couple wins in the month of October if we want to get to a bowl game, and then you proceeded to lose every single game in that month. So there's not, I want to say, the same sense of urgency coming out of the first month of the season. And yes, we all know how tough the month of October is going to be. But Carolina's in I'd say a good place, obviously record-wise, but as well as I'd say like headspace-wise too, being as successful as you were through the first 4 games.
And I think we forget during that month of October last year, this team didn't have a takeaway. So that's something that I would expect to be different this year. I think takeaways are going to be key in winning some of these games because, look, you win the turnover battle, the better chance you have of winning the game. But you're right. I mean, last year in October was really tough on this team. They were already in a hole. This year, they're not in a hole yet, but it's like very quickly they could get into one if they start to lose some games here. That's why I think it's so important to at least find a way to win one of these games, because you're either going to be, if you win one game, you're at least 4-3 instead of 3-4.
Right.
And then obviously the good thing with the Beamer era, and you hope it continues, is these teams normally have a pretty good finish to the year. Obviously last year you lost to Clemson, but you won, I think, 3 of your final 4 games in that month of November to even get to that point of potentially going to a bowl game. And even in the years before that, you beat back-to-back top 10 teams and stuff. So my point is, there is light at the end of the tunnel, regardless of how October goes. But it would be nice to come out of here with a win, maybe 2. South Carolina usually falls backwards into one of these upset wins.
Sure.
Maybe this is the time of year where you have 3 ranked opponents coming up, and maybe one of them happens.
And I think it is interesting to look at, this Beamer era and how the teams continue to get better as the season, does go along. And we've talked about the month of September, which has not been good to them. The month of October, a little bit better, where they've gone 4-6 in the 3 prior years. And the month of November has been really the bread and butter, where they've been 7-4, including 3-1 last year, just coming up short of being able to do enough to get to those bowl games. And there's probably a lot of answers for this, but why exactly is this team coached by Beamer one that just gets better as the season goes along?
And it's a tough question to answer. I think just because, and I hate to say it, the level of competition just decreases, I feel like, in some cases. I think the exception, I'll go back to last year, for instance. You had Georgia and Tennessee in the month of September, and obviously, and North Carolina, who was pretty good last year. That's a really tough slate to start the year for 3 of your 5 games in September. Then you get to November, and it's like you play, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. I think you had Missouri in October, but the point is, the schedule got easier as the year went on. I think it's the same case in November this year. And I think that's why you see this team kind of play better. But I think also it's the fact that they mesh better over time. I feel like they've done a really good job of coming together and playing as a team so far. And I know it sounds cliche and whatever, but I think it's honestly just the facts of the case. I think they really do play better together as the year goes on. And the fact that they're already playing really solid ball to start the year, like they're scoring points and they're playing really good defensively, and special teams has been pretty good too. It's a good sign of things to come. And if they keep it up, I mean, who knows what can happen? They really could be able to get through October and then have a good November again too.
It's a good sign of things to come to me that you've already played a lot of good football and there's still plenty of room to improve. And look, we know with the Norris Sellers, he's probably going to continue to prove as he gets more starts under his belt. This rapport that he has with this wide receiver core is hopefully going to continue to improve the more snaps that they play together. The offensive line hopefully is going to continue to prove the more that they play together. So there's a lot of room for growth, which again is I think a big positive for this team, that despite not being the best form of yourself, you've still managed to win 3 games, nearly won the 4th game as well against LSU, where hopefully by the time we get to November, we're talking about this team being leaps and bounds better and hopefully winning more games too.
And it's a good thing that I like that point you brought up, the fact that they still have stuff to improve upon. I mean, look, it's not a perfect picture right now, and it shouldn't be. If it were a perfect picture, we'd be talking about South Carolina winning the national championship, but that's not the case right now. They still have room to grow. And look, 3-1 is such a good start. You figured they would be able to split the Kentucky LSU game, and they did. Now, and they took care of business in the other 2 games they needed to. Now it's about, okay, get these guys back healthy. Let's see can this offense kind of have that continuity of what they did over the last 2 games or 3 games, honestly, and keep it rolling and build forward. And then can your defense be a sustainable product? And if all that continues the way it has been, I really do like this team's chances.
So, and look, we got all next week to dive into the specifics of the Ole Miss game, but we're going to get a chance to see them finally play a comparable opponent this weekend, taking on Kentucky at home. And, of course, Kentucky just gave Georgia a scare the other weekend in that type battle. Let's say, because the confidence right now isn't super high against Ole Miss, and rightfully so. That's a very talented team, top 10. They got a ton of talent in the transfer portal. Let's say they play Kentucky, and it's a ugly slog of a game, and they only win that game 13-10 or something like that. How much would the confidence shoot up here locally about your ability to beat that team next weekend?
Oh, it would go sky high. I mean, that's the thing, but then again, this is Ole Miss that we're talking about. This is a team that has Jackson Dart, Juice Wells, a lot of great targets. I mean, this is a great team that won the transfer portal in the offseason. They are going to be dangerous any way you put it, and they'll be hungry coming into that type of game. So, I mean, look, they could lose this game, to be honest. I still think you shouldn't underestimate Ole Miss by any means in Lane Kiffin, because this is a team that I think is still going to be able to get the 10 wins, regardless of how next week goes or even this week.
Well, and I think on the flip side of that, if they take on Kentucky this weekend and they win that game 42-6 or something like that, that may put even more panic into people like, oh, man, this really is a legit good Ole Miss team. That's going to make it feel like even more of an uphill battle next weekend.
But the thing is, and I think a lot of fans agree, Ole Miss hasn't played a true road game yet.
Right.
That's the thing. They've been to Wake. Okay, whoop-de-doo. That's cool. But you haven't been to Columbia yet. And I really thought this was going to be a night game, but it's a 3:30 game. I expect it to be loud and crazy and stuff. And I think the whole Juice Wells dynamic adds to it. And I really do think it's going to be a tough place for Ole Miss to win. If they're going to win, it's going to really come down to the wire, I think, and they'll just have to make one more play than Carolina.
Certainly going to be a fun one to watch. And again, we got plenty to dive into next week as we lead up to that game. Last night, because it is a bye week, we had Carolina calls, not with Coach Beamer, but instead with Coach Lamont Paris as he sat down with Derek Scott and got a little bit of a preview of the upcoming men's basketball season. We'll dive into that a little bit. Of course, Jack is on the beat for that when the season does get started here in a little over a month's time. So we'll kind of get an assessment of where we stand right now, just over a month for the season, and what to be excited about with this men's basketball team as the Extra Point rolls along. Tyler Head and Jack Felcher from Gamecock Central on your Thursday on the game. Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Peltry, along with you from Gamecock Central on your Thursday here in the game. And, of course, we talked plenty of football this week, but given that it is a bye week, perfect opportunity to take a little bit of a peek ahead to men's basketball. Again, the season getting started in a little over a month's time at the beginning of November. And because it is a bye week, we had Carolina calls with Coach Paris last night and Derek Scott. Jack, you were out there and got to hear from Coach Paris. And, we'll get one of his cuts here in just a second, but there's plenty of reason to be excited for what this upcoming season is going to be, given the trip to the NCAA tournament last year, returning a lot of talent, bringing in a lot of high caliber talent as well. And, people having pretty high expectations for what year number 3 is going to bring.
Yeah, there's a good buzz right now with this program. I think it's a really exciting time to be checking into Carolina men's basketball. And I think they're due for another good year, in my opinion. They have, in my opinion, probably a better team talent-wise. We'll see how it all forms together. But from talking to some of the players yesterday and stuff, it seems like they've meshed really well so far. And they've got a good grip on what they're going to be doing this year. And we'll see what happens. But from what Lamont was saying yesterday during Carolina calls, it's all good things right now. There's a lot of buzz in the air, as he said.
Let's hear what Coach Paris did have to say about the anticipation surrounding this program for the 24-25 season.
Yeah, definitely. Just like you said about the article that came out, I think it said something like, in the anchor of this Gamecock defensive line.
Let's go to today's cut list, cut number 3 here, Ed, about Coach Paris talking about the excitement around the program. All right, hold on.
I mean, wherever I am, whether it's on campus or, if you might see me out at the grocery store picking up a couple of items, I just can't. It's hard to describe how many times I hear someone saying something positive about how they're anticipating men's basketball season and really athletics as a whole. There's such a good buzz around the athletic department and the university in general, but we've gotten a lot of tremendous feedback just after how the season went. People are so involved in the recruiting now that they're completely aware of the guys that we brought in. We've got so much South Carolina flavor on our roster. I think people are just really, really excited to see what the product is that we put out there. And I'm really excited, too, to get with these guys and kind of see where they take us, because, my job's similar from year to year, but it's different based on the group that you have. And it'll be a unique experience from last season, and I'm really excited to see where these guys take us.
That's an interesting point that he brings up. And I go back to, I came here 2 years ago after spending, so many years in the state of Georgia, where basketball isn't as cherished and loved as it is here. And when I came here and started working at the game, that's what I noticed immediately is how much this community loves and cares about not just basketball in general, but specifically, college basketball here with the men's and women's programs at the University of South Carolina. And they just want these teams to be good. And again, you have all the success in the world with what's going on with the women's team, but they've wanted the men's team, not maybe to always be on that same level, but just to be good enough to, care about on a year in, year out basis. You had the Final Four run back in 2017, but not a whole lot to hang your hat on since then. And seeing the excitement level of people here locally when the team did what they did a year ago, defying a lot of expectations and making the NCAA tournament, has really rejuvenated a lot of this crowd, where, again, there's a lot of expectations coming in this year, but everybody is ready to just have another fun season ahead of them.
The last few years, last year was like my first in-depth full year of covering the team. I can tell you there's a noticeable difference between last year and any of the other years. It's not just for the fact of Carolina making the tournament. Every game felt like South Carolina had a good chance to win, and they won most of them. And the buzz and the excitement, the enthusiasm surrounding this program was really at an all-time high, and it got better as the year went on. And obviously, I think it's going to carry into this year, and a lot of people are going to be excited. I think they've got the right team in place, man. As I said before, I feel good about this year's team.
you got to like your chances with a guy like Lamont. I mean, look, year one was rough, but again, that was putting a roster together just kind of late in the process, it felt like. And obviously you got G.G. Jackson stuff, but you needed a good supporting cast around him, and you didn't really have that. Last year you had a great team just from top to bottom, everyone team playing, all that, and you saw the results on the court. And I think there's going to be people out there that are going to count this team out again. I'm not saying they're going to be picked to finish last in the SEC again, but I think there's going to be people that want to see if Carolina can do this again. And there's going to be people that think this team doesn't do it again. And maybe that is more motivation for this program to get back to where it needs to go.
A lot of change this offseason. Of course, you're going to lose B.J. Mack, Talon Cooper, Michi Johnson obviously transferred out of here at the end of last season. You still do have guys returning, CMB, Zach Davis, got guys like that. But if you had to kind of predict what this starting five is going to look like for game number one, which five guys are you going with?
Ooh, okay. All right. Jamari Thomas is probably going to be at the point. Just sounds like that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm missing anyone, please correct me. But
okay.
Jamari Thomas, Zach Davis, Colin Murray-Boyles, Nick Pringle, or Jordan Butler. Depends on. I think they're going to probably go with 2 forwards and 3 guards. But CMB and Pringle in the front court. In the back court, let's go with Jamari Thomas, like I said. God, who am I forgetting here? 2 other guards. You wanna help me fill in the pieces here?
Let's see.
I'm trying. Let me look at the roster because it's like and I would say Cam Scott.
So
but I'm not.
For guard options, you have Jacoby Wright. You got Miles Stute. I
would say Miles Stute probably fills out one of those spots.
Okay.
The problem is they had Michi Johnson and Talon Cooper last year, but they're gone.
Right.
Honestly, this is a sleeper pick, and maybe if he didn't get hurt, I feel like he would probably be starting. Arden Conyers was really impressive over the summer. That's someone that I know is going to contribute this year, but I really do think. I mean, look, he went down with I think it was like an ankle sprain, I think LP was saying yesterday.
Sure.
He's been out the last few weeks, but look, he's a guy at 6'7" at guard, really shifty on the court. He's someone that I feel like could really slide in at one of those guard spots and perform well. So it wouldn't shock me if by opening night he's good and been, well healed and stuff, and back to 100%. He just ends up starting. That's a sleeper pick, I feel like, starting at guard.
I feel like every offseason there's that one guy that gets a lot of hype going into the season that, we're excited to see what he's going to do. Last year was obviously CMB, who dealt with the illness that kept him out for, the first month or so of the season. And this year it kind of seems to be Arden Conyers. A lot of conversation about him and the excitement of what he's going to do. He does have the ankle thing that's kept him out for a little bit of the summer. But if he's ready to go, I think there's a lot of people anxious to see what he's going to bring to the court.
There's a lot of buzz surrounding him. Like, just seeing him in summer workouts and stuff. I mean, he just gets to the rim. He puts up those tough shots and makes them. And that's what's really encouraging to see. And look, he was out the entire year last year because he redshirted. And I think that really helped him. And look, if he's not starting, I expect him to be a contributor, kind of in a similar role to what Jacoby Wright's meant to this team over the last few years. And the reason I say maybe Jacoby doesn't start, look, he plays enough minutes to be a starter, but there's just something good about him being the first guy off the bench, and he's been in that role for the last 2 years. I would expect him to be in that role once again this year. Maybe he does start. I don't know, but I really do think Arden, though, he's got a chance to be one of those guys that really takes over and becomes one of those really solid local kids for this program.
Excited to see what happens again. Tip off in a little over a month's time. As again, we got plenty of football to talk about between now and then, but I can't wait for both men's and women's basketball tip off here coming up in November. It's a busy week here on the game. Coming up tomorrow, the halftime show and the post game show. Going to be broadcasting live from the Ultimate Long Drive World Championship at Party at 3209 Charleston Highway in West Columbia. So looking forward to that as we wrap up your bye week. The big news around college football the past day has revolved around Matt Sluka and what's going on at UNLV. We'll dive back into that and kind of look at what this means for the future of college football and NIL as the Extra Point rolls along. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry on your Thursday on the game. Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher along with you on your Thursday here on the game. It is our Laying the Wood segment brought to you by our friends over at Georgia Pacific. And, you know, we say laying the wood in reference to playing defense, right? Well, there's two sides playing defense in this whole Matt Sluka situation with what's been going on at UNLV. Of course, that news broke overnight yesterday, and we wake up to see, okay, well, Matt Sluka was either promised a lot of money that he was not given, or he was asking for a lot of money that he was not promised, given how he's played through the first 3 games of the season. We've gotten Sluka's side of the story. We've gotten UNLV's side of the story. The truth probably lies somewhere in between, but both sides definitely on the defensive right now as this ugly thing continues to unfold.
Oh, gosh, man. It's something that is unlike anything I've seen before in college sports. I never thought we'd see something like this, but this is the age we're in now. So from the looks of it, just from, you know, word of mouth and just reading what's out there, it sounds like Sluka was verbally promised a minimum of $100,000 from a UNLV coach. He only received $3K. I think that's mistake number one. Is that he was verbally promised $100,000. How do we know that's true? You know, it's essentially his word against UNLV's, and it's just it's a strange situation, and I hate the fact that they're playing good ball right now. They're 3-0 on the year. With the way the college football playoff is this year, UNLV could have a legit chance to make it as the Group of 5 representative. And just, I understand why he's redshirting the rest of the year and probably going to enter the portal, but it's like, man, it's just a bad look all the way around.
And I said this yesterday, if he was indeed promised that $100,000 and they did not fulfill their promise, I get where he's coming from. But, man, walking on in your team, that is a really tough look. Look, nobody wins in this scenario, unfortunately. And this UNLV team, we'll see how good the backup quarterback is. Seems like a lot of guys on the team are excited about it, but there's a reason why Sluka was starting, because it seemed like he gave them the best chance to win. And again, they had a chance at least to be a team that could compete for that Group of 5 college football playoff spot. So we'll see what happens going forward with that. But this is something that I really feel like is the tip of the iceberg, right? Since Sluka did this yesterday, we had his running back, one of his running backs, announced that he's going to redshirt for the rest of the year. That's not NIL related. He just doesn't want to, or wants to pursue other opportunities in the transfer portal. Later on yesterday, Bear Alexander, defensive lineman for Southern Cal, also self-redshirts himself and says that he wants to seek another opportunity after already transferring to Southern Cal from UGA. And I feel like you remember about 10 years ago when the 14 playoff came about, and we started to get bowl opt-outs. Like, it was only a couple to begin with, right? So some big-name guys that didn't want to play in their high-level bowl games, and you're like, oh, well, that's not great, but it's not going to become a problem. Well, it's become a problem to where now we don't give credit to any bowl games that are non-college football playoff, because most teams are going to be missing usually about half of their high-level players who are either preparing for the draft or getting ready to transfer to another school. I feel like the September red shirt is, I guess, what we can call it, because you can play in up to 4 games and still maintain your red shirt status. The September red shirt is probably going to become the new thing if the model continues to be the way that it is, because there are guys that either because of NIL purposes or they don't think that they are going to get their just amount of playing at their school, just going to go ahead and decide, you know what, I'm going to punt on this year and I'm going to save my eligibility for another year at somewhere else.
It's just... oh, man, there's a lot of thoughts about it, man. College sports have just changed drastically, especially in football over the last 10 years. And I don't like I understand going out and getting what's yours, but at the same time, it's like the optics of quitting on your team are just, I can't accept it. It's just, I don't like that idea of it. And with the whole Sluka situation, think about how this looks from a professional perspective if he ever wants to go to the league, right? Like, let's say he's in an NFL draft interview or whatever the case might be, and he gets asked, like, are you, like, is this going to happen again? Like, if you don't get what you want, are you going to quit on us? Are you going to, request a trade? Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel there's so many different ways to feel about this. I don't know. It's like quitting on your team and stuff. I can't get behind it. But at the same time, it's like, it's one thing if you're just not playing at all and like, go ahead and transfer. I understand that. But if you're already playing and you're having a good year like Sluka is with UNLV, but it's about money, like I get it, but it's like, wow, like just keep playing. And if you play and UNLV makes the playoff, wouldn't you get more endorsements? Wouldn't you have to get paid essentially? Like, I don't know. It's a really strange situation that, again, really hasn't happened before.
It's a mess, and it's a result of the fact that there's no parameters on NIL, and it's kind of the Wild West, as we talk about quite a bit. And I had forgotten about this until I was, diving into it a little bit yesterday. But remember what happened last year with Shane Beamer and Xavier McLeod, where I think it was part of the Missouri game or after the Missouri game, whatever it was, where he told Coach Beamer, I want to redshirt and preserve your eligibility. Beamer's like, well, we think we're going to need you in these games coming up. I'm not going to let you do that, so you can go somewhere else. He's now since transferred to Georgia. But I imagine there's a lot of coaches around the country looking at what's happened in the last 24 hours with these self-red shirts, probably panicking a little bit. This could become a widespread thing where at the end of the first month of every season, you're just going to have a list of guys coming to your office saying, hey, coach, I think I'm going to go ahead and sit out the rest of the year. And it could be high-level guys that we're going to be serious parts of your team, being able to win because either they don't like their NIL situation or you've lost, 2 games already and they don't think the season's worth risking injury for to go ahead and sit out and either preserve your eligibility or try and transfer somewhere else.
I think there needs to be more stricter rules in place because I feel like, look, I'm all for players getting paid and stuff. I'm all for NIL and the ability to transfer and stuff. I'm cool with it. But it's like, all right, think about it this way. You don't see this in pro sports very often. Yeah, you see guys request trades and stuff, but you never really see like at the start of the year, maybe like a Le'Veon Bell sitting out because he wants to get paid more, or CeeDee Lamb in training camp and stuff. But you don't see it where it's like, 5th game of the year. Let's say Josh Allen, for instance, wanted more money or something, and he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna sit out and not play the rest of the year. We have I don't ever, like, unless I'm missing something, I haven't seen anything like that, and it's just, it sets a really bad precedent for the NCAA. And the NCAA has to I think there's got to be something more done here because it's kind of just getting out of hand.
You know why players in the NFL don't do that? Because they have ironclad contracts that detail if you do not play X amount of games or whatever, you're not getting your money. There are no contracts in college football.
That's what they need.
Exactly.
That's what they need.
The Sluka thing is a handshake deal where the offensive coordinator allegedly said, hey, come to us. We'll give you $100,000. Nothing was in writing about this, and he gets there, and if that side of the story is true, they're like, yeah, sorry, we can't give you that. And he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to play anymore. Like, again, in a way, I understand where Sluka's coming from. I don't condone walking out on your team, but again, this is just to sum up the mess that we're in college football right now that I think we all hope is going to be fixed with the House versus NCAA settlement, but even that's getting gummed up as of right now, because if it's going to be implemented in 2025, you would think we got to put the finishing touches on that here very soon. And I don't even know if that's going to come to fruition or not.
I don't know. Again, that's the point I'm trying to make here. I think they need some sort of, like, you can't have another situation like this where it's a verbal agreement. Like, how am I supposed to know if that's legit or not? Like, I wasn't in the room when Sluka and UNLV were going through the whole process. Like, there needs to be written contracts to get this thing going. And I hate to say it needs, if we're going to go down this road, it needs to be exactly like professional sports, because pro sports don't seem to have this issue. It's kind of insane, and I really don't like it, but it's the way we're heading, unfortunately.
It is, and look, there's plenty more to come out of this, and we'll get the story straight at some point on what exactly has gone down with Matt Sluka and UNLV. Come back, wrap up today's edition of The Extra Point. Look ahead to Thursday Night Football coming up tonight, as well as the end of an era for one particular baseball team out in California. That's coming up next. Tyler Head, Jack Belcher, along with you on your Thursday here on The Game.
Run to your phone and start dialing 803-404-6100. It's time to give away some Gamecocks football tickets.
Touchdown, Carolina.
Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse, your local Honda motorcycle, ATV side-by-side superstore. Exit 70 up I-20. Turn by the Flying J. Online at carolinahonda.com.
Welcome back into the Extra Points Hour. Ed and Jack Belcher along with you. Yes, indeed, it is time to give some tickets away to next Saturday's game between South Carolina and Ole Miss. We'll take caller number 5 right now, 803-404-6100. Ed Birch standing by to take your call to win those tickets to see the Gamecocks and the Rebels coming up next weekend. Got some football coming up tonight, Jack. Thursday night football, Cowboys and Giants on Prime Video. I believe I heard, listening to Pro Football Talk a little bit earlier on today, this is the first time the Cowboys have had to play on the road this early in the season on a Thursday night, because typically they play the Thursday game on Thanksgiving, but a bit of a rare situation having to go to the Meadowlands this early in the season on a short week.
Yeah, it's definitely different, man. Usually, and honestly, the first game of the year, at least in my memory, has always been Cowboys-Giants in Jerry World. So this is different. Week 4, it's early in the year, but it's a good test for both teams because, I mean, look, it's an NFC East rivalry, and both these teams really need a win, and especially the Cowboys because they have been playing atrocious defense, and their offense is trying to get it figured out right now. So it's a good battle for both teams. And look, the Giants also need this win with Daniel Jones and the rest of that team.
The pressure on the losing coach tonight is going to ramp up exponentially because both these teams come in at 2-1. Funny enough, they've both beaten the Browns. The Cowboys did in week 1. The Giants did it this past weekend, which that's not a huge accomplishment, obviously. But for both Mike McCarthy and Brian Daboll, they felt some heat coming into the season. I mean, there's a lot of people that thought Mike McCarthy probably should have been let go after that debacle in the playoffs last year against Green Bay, but Jerry Jones decided to keep him around. But you drop to 1-3, especially because here's the thing. The Cowboys are a lot more talented of a team than the Giants are. There's a reason they were in the playoffs last year hosting a game. They're a good team. They just seem very dysfunctional at this point in time and a lot of infighting and internal strife where if they drop to 1-3, which your playoff chances are pretty low at that point, I don't know if McCarthy survives the season.
I think he should have been fired last year, but look, he isn't. And it's the same thing with Brian Daboll. And I like Brian Daboll. He did a good job with the Bills, but really, whoever loses this game, they're kind of screwed. And I think one of these coaches, if not both, are going to get fired by the end of the year. The Giants, just because they're the Giants, and we'll see what happens. I'm rooting for Daniel Jones to do well, but at the same time, I'm not holding that much hope. And then the Cowboys, if they miss the playoffs, you know it's over. So all that money down the drain, essentially.
One person I'm very excited to watch tonight is Malik Neighbors. Had a bit of a coming out party this past weekend and then a win against the Browns. If the Giants are going to win this game tonight, I think it's going to be a big key part of that.
Oh, totally. They need him to really be dynamic again, but at the same time, you need Danny Dimes to be able to throw some dimes over to Malik. So I'll be interested to see what happens. It seems like Devin Singletary, former Bill, ran the ball pretty well against the Browns last week. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited to watch this game, and it'll be a good one, I hope.
That game kicks off tonight at 8:15. By the time that game is starting, the era of the Oakland Athletics will have officially come to an end. They've got their final game at home today against the Twins at 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 on Pacific Time out there as the Oakland Coliseum watches its final game being played. I've seen a lot of the pictures and the videos these past couple days as the Oakland fans are soaking in the last couple of days with their team. They're literally ripping the seats out of the Coliseum, trying to take home a piece of that legacy as, John Fisher moves the team to Las Vegas and really the last pro team in the Bay Area says goodbye.
It's so sad to see. I was watching probably like the 6th and 7th inning of that game last night. It's sad to see. I mean, look, those fans deserve so much better than what John Fisher gives them. And I expect it to be a packed house tonight, or today, I should say. But it's sad, and I mean, look, the A's, I don't know what's going to happen next. They're going to Sacramento after this year, and we'll see how long they'll be there. They haven't even broke ground on Vegas yet, so I don't even know if it's going to happen, and I can never really fully be confident it's going to happen as long as John Fisher's the owner. One of the richest owners in sports yet he doesn't spend a dime on his team, and it's awful to see, and something needs to change.
He is the ultimate cheapskate. There's no two ways about it, and there's a reason why the A's have sucked so bad these past couple of years, because they're not willing to spend money. They've regularly been at the bottom of the payroll in Major League Baseball, and if you don't pay for talent, you're not going to win.
No, and they've had 20 years of plans for a new stadium in so many different areas in California, because they need to get out of Oakland. That's certain. I like the Coliseum. It's got some charm to it, but it's time to move on to somewhere else. And the fact that they couldn't get it done time after time is just it'd be infuriating if I were an A's fan. And those fans, I mean, just like the Raiders, they deserve better. And it really sucks to see such a good fan base get screwed over time and time again by, cheapskate owner.
It's a story as old as time, unfortunately, in sports, and will be the last time we see it happen. But certainly feel for the folks out there in Oakland, as yet again one of their major sports teams ends up leaving for somewhere else. The second one, by the way, to be headed off to Las Vegas, just like the Raiders. That'll do it for today's edition of The Extra Point. Jack, we will get you in here next week. Every single day, starting on Monday, you're going to be hanging out with us for the Extra Points. Certainly looking forward to that. And, man, we're going to have plenty to talk about as we get you set for South Carolina and Ole Miss next weekend.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I'm looking forward to it. And, hope you don't get sick of me too quick. So.
Absolutely not. Coming up next is the Gamecock Club Hour. Special guest from Gamecock Baseball, Eli Jersenbeck, hanging out with myself and Wes for the next hour here on your Thursday on The Game. Tyler Ed here for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialists. As I'm looking outside, Hurricane Helene making her way through the Midlands here of South Carolina means we're going to have a lot of rain over the course of the next couple of days. And as I tell you about all the time, you have an open crawl space under your home and rain is in the forecast. You need to be aware of what's happening under there, because a lot of rain can lead to problems with your crawl space, like mold and mildew, as well as things like termites that can get in there and really affect what's going on in your home, including your family's health, because about half the air that you breathe in your home comes from that crawl space, and you want to make sure you're breathing in good air. That's where our friends at Canty Foundation Specialists come in. You can go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfix.com, and they will send a professional out to your home to evaluate your home's foundation and your crawl space and get it fixed up right so you and your family can live comfortably going forward. Again, go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfix.com for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialists. It's 8 o'clock on your Thursday morning. Welcome in. It is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling. Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell along with you, navigating through the bye week. Perfect time to jump outside of football, talk a little bit of Gamecock baseball. And today we are joined by a member of the baseball team, Eli Jerzenbeck. Eli, first of all, appreciate your time this morning. See a little bit wet. Other than that, how we doing?
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be out here. Glad to be here and ready to get to talking.
Eli, so first of all, we love these shows, man, because the fans get to know you a little bit on the field, a little bit off the field, everything in between. So let's rewind in time a little bit, man. Let's talk about your journey, not just here at South Carolina, but before South Carolina. Can you go back, for people who don't know, to the recruiting process a little bit? Kind of how did that go for you? Why, when you look back on it, did you become a Gamecock as you kind of made that big decision, maybe one of the first big decisions in your life?
Well, I'm from the city, Charlotte, not too far away, and about an hour and a half away. And I knew I wanted to be in the best division in college baseball when looking for a school, which is the SEC. And I knew the closest place to me was South Carolina Gamecocks, and I knew once I visited, that was a spot I wanted to be at.
What did you I mean, I'm trying to think here. When Carolina was winning national championships and playing for them about a decade ago, you would have been, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe middle school, elementary school, somewhere
Probably
along those
like
lines.
that,
So
yeah.
what did you know about the tradition and success of the Carolina program prior to coming here?
I just knew in the past they were a winning team, and I didn't look much into it when I was getting here. I just knew I was looking at the history, and I knew Gamecocks was a winning school, and kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say I knew the craziest most about it, but now being here, I truly understand the fan base and the type of school I'm at, and I'm happy to be here.
So you now have a new, obviously, not entirely new coaching staff, but Monty Lee is back, but new head coach, new pitching coach, which obviously is very relevant to you. What have these first maybe few months been like, as you obviously have new teammates as well, with transfer portal, freshmen, and this new staff? How do you feel like you and this staff have kind of started to gel together? Like, just maybe take us behind the scenes a little bit for what the experience has been like since the new staff has been here, Eli.
Well, it's been great with getting all these new coaches in and getting all these new players. I mean, within the first week, Coach Maneri had us all sit down to talking to us, and I mean, after that first meeting with Coach Maneri, he had us all fired up, and ever since then, we've been pretty bonded during practice and all that, and I think we feel great out there, and it's becoming a big family out there for sure.
Now, what did you know of him prior to him coming here? Were you aware of his success at LSU, or was he somebody that you were, involved in the recruiting process prior to coming here? What was your relationship with him prior to him being the coach here?
Well, before he became the coach, can't say I've ever met Coach Maneri, but I've heard of him, and I knew he was out of the game for a little bit. But when I just heard he was deciding to come back to coach and decided to come to South Carolina to be our coach, I mean, I was really happy. I was really fired up, and I mean, he's best guy to come in here and have us win for sure. I mean, his history for sure precedes him.
So I want to talk about your experience a little bit here at South Carolina with the injury. So freshman year, you come in, you're rolling, and that would have been basically like 2 seasons ago. Mm-hmm. You appear in 16 games. I got your stats pulled up right now. 2.84 ERA, 36 strikeouts, 31 2/3 inning pitch, and for a freshman, it's going pretty darn well. Mm-hmm. Can you take us through sort of just maybe when you first thought, oh man, something might be wrong here? Did you instantly know, hey, this is bad? Maybe what was mm-hmm. that process like? Have you ever dealt with an injury before at that point, or can you just sort of take us through how that happened?
Yeah, I mean, all season, I mean, I felt good. I mean, I've never had to deal with an injury before in high school or anything like that. And all season, I felt good. Never felt any specific pain or nothing. Just felt a little tired, like dead. My arm just felt dead. Like I was trying really hard to throw hard, and usually it's never been that case. And I kind of just knew in the back of my head something was up. But with this type of injury, you can't really go in and get it checked out till the wheels fall off. I kind of was just throwing till the wheels fall off. And then, because, I mean, if anything's there, you gotta do something about it. So I kind of was just keeping it to myself and was trying to get the numbers I could do get and help the team any way I could before that all happened. And so ended up happening against Kentucky. And, season came to an end. But, I mean, looking back at it, it only happened for the better purpose.
I don't know. You and I were talking off air kind of about, like, you seem to have accepted it and obviously have used last year, not just from a physical standpoint with the rehab, but maybe a mental reset. How much did it maybe make you just, I hear guys talk about how much they appreciate the game, just having to watch for a year. I know it's grueling. I know nobody wants to go through it, but also today's game, pretty much every pitcher, it feels like, goes through something like that at some point. So how grueling was the rehab, but how much has that maybe made you appreciate your opportunities too going forward?
I mean, yeah, the rehab ain't fun, but I mean, it's just a day-to-day process. Once you be able to accept the fact that you got to do same thing over and over day to day, I mean, you kind of accept the fact. But looking back at it, being able to get that full year to develop myself, develop my body, and develop my mind, I mean, I couldn't be more grateful for the game I play in, for being able to get that time and be able to basically just develop myself and better myself for this year to come. And now it's here. Now the time's here, and I'm beyond ready for it.
Now, what exactly did that rehab process entail, and how long was it until you actually got to throw again?
Well, the process was just day-to-day training with the trainer in the weight room, also as in the physical therapist. And then it was kind of just tossing. I mean, you got to toss the ball after 6 months, and it's just every day you're going out there throwing a little through soreness, trying to loosen out that arm. And once you finally get to month 12, you feel really loose and you feel good. And now that I'm at month 15, 16, I'm beyond ready to go.
Now, is there any kind of like hesitation as you're getting back to your normal form about like re-aggravating what the injury was, or is that something you just kind of have to put out of your mind when you're throwing?
Me personally, I'm just happy to be out there. That's not in my head at all about re-injuring it. I mean, God's always got a purpose for everybody. So I just go out there and accept it and try to do my best day to day.
So a lot of times in these interviews, we like to give the fans a little idea of sort of what the day-to-day is for a student athlete. Especially, I know for every sport, there's like these little sections where, all right, this time of year, you're in team workouts. That time of year may be in individual workouts. I know you were telling me off air, we're about to be in the team workout portion, but right now we're still sort of on the tail end of individuals. So for a pitcher, what does individual workouts sort of look like? Like, how many days are you in? How many days are you throwing? Maybe give us a little insight on that if you can.
So right now we're on individual workouts, and so technically we go 5 times a week. We get Wednesdays off days, but if you're really about the grind, you're not taking that as an off day. And then you got the weekends off as well, which is the same as Wednesdays. And then we got class. Everybody's usually got class in the mornings, and then we start practice around 1 to 2, and we'll get our throwing in as pitchers. We'll meet together with Coach Rooney, all the pitchers. We'll talk about what we got for the day. Then we'll hit the weight room. We'll throw however you need to throw, and then we'll hit the weight room, and then with Coach Billy, and then that's about it. And then we get some good food in us. And then, yes, sir.
So we got the I guess the outskirts of a hurricane bearing down on us today. Baseball is not a sport like football where you kind of just go play through it. So what would like today look like for you? Is that do you do something inside?
Now we have Coach Manieri.
Yeah.
Today, just because it's raining don't mean we get no off day. So, like, we'll probably still be out there getting our throwing in. You just gotta eat the rain, be able to deal with the slick ball. But, you can't. We're trying not to have any setbacks, as a team, even as an individual. So, going out there to be able to even throw in the rain, have that grit, we got to go do it.
So, when you get to actually in the season in the spring, how much does the day-to-day change? How much schedule change? And what's that grind like in season?
In season, the day-to-day definitely changes a little bit because, we're not lifting as much. You kind of got to stay ready for the games on the weekends. It's definitely more team practice. We're doing more. Every pitchers are working with infielders, and then infielders working with pitchers. It's kind of just being able to get out there as a full team. Like right now, it's more individual, working on what you need to work on. And then in season, it's definitely as a full team group, getting things going.
And when it comes to pitching, we obviously talk a lot about rest and making sure you have adequate time between when you go out there. In those days in between when you're quote unquote resting, what kind of things besides actually throwing are you doing to prepare yourself for that next either start or time when you're coming in out of the bullpen?
Like I said, we got to spend a lot of time in the training room with our trainer, Corey, and we got everything you need in there. And, yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a hot, cold tubs. There's conditioning you got to do. There's these certain mats and pads that they be putting on your body that you can do, But, yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, South Carolina's got everything you need to get yourself ready for those starts. So, I mean, yeah, the rest days, I mean, I enjoy my rest days. I'm usually sitting at home playing some Xbox.
It's pretty good.
So you mentioned Coach Rooney. He obviously comes in as recruiting coordinator and pitching coach. From what I understand, Coach John Hendry also has a heavy pitching background as well. So what maybe has stood out to you so far just about these two guys and maybe just their approach? I know every coach is going to have a little bit of a unique style. What maybe stands out about the current staff in terms of your development as a pitcher?
I would just say their philosophy on things. They got a philosophy for everything because not every pitcher's the same. Everybody's got to have a way of thinking about how they want to do something, do this. But then Coach Rooney and Coach Henry always have a philosophy to go with the way you're thinking or how you kind of want to go about things. So I mean, their experience is probably the biggest thing. I mean, you'll have Coach Rooney out there telling you stories and then also showing you things and telling you guys who he's coached and being able to give you visuals on things. So, I mean, yeah, the thing that stood out is how experienced they are and how long they've been in the game.
So when you have just coaching change in general, which we'll get into a little bit more in a minute here, but talking specifically about changing pitching coaches, what is that process of developing that relationship and kind of building trust with somebody that is brand new to you and your entire pitching staff?
Yeah, I mean, this is my third year here, and this is my third pitching coach. So, I mean, it takes a little bit for coaches to be able to understand each other, understand the player, and also the player to understand the coach. But, I mean, from my experience, it only takes a little bit of time and a little bit of understanding, getting used to each other. But me and Coach Rooney, and I know Coach Rooney with a bunch of all these other players, I mean, we're bonded. We're like family already. And, yeah, it's great. We're ready to go, and we're big family out there.
As part of this interview is a Gamecock Club interview, so obviously lots of support for student athletes like yourself. I know you were out there signing autographs among the fans. I think that's in Gamecock Park each week. Certain student athletes are out there. What can you tell us about the support that you have here as a student athlete with the Gamecock Club?
Yeah, the Gamecock Club has been awesome, being able to get out there and be able to meet the fans that actually go out there and support us, and being able to just, I don't know, be around with the team. It's been awesome. And the support they've been giving us, it's been awesome. And, I mean, couldn't ask for a better fan base out there, to be honest.
Is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling. More with Eli Jersenbeck as your Thursday edition rolls on here on The Game.
All right, guys, you know it. Football season is here. Major League Baseball playoffs right around the corner. Why not upgrade the man cave at the house? Or maybe just upgrade the TV in the living room. Hit up our friends at Integrated Media. That's integratedmediainc.com. Or you can just give them a call. That's 803-948-8327. They've been at my home. They've been at my coworker Chris Clark's home. Let them come to your home as well and upgrade any and all of your audio-visual systems at the house. That could be smart home installation, complete home theater installation, anything audio-video, or even if it's just something as simple as hanging that TV. Maybe you're just not quite comfortable hanging it yourself on the wall. Big or small, whatever you need to upgrade with your audio visuals at your house, Integrated Media can do it for you. For me, it was just running Ethernet throughout the house. Maybe you work from home, want to upgrade the Ethernet at the home office. They can handle that for you as well. IntegratedMediaInc.com. And again, that phone number, 803-948-8327.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling. Tyrod, Wes Mitchell, Eli Jersenbeck from Gamecock Baseball hanging out with us on this Thursday. We touched on a little bit there in the first segment. Of course, we're getting set to start the Palmineri era coming up in the spring. A lot of excitement given the fact what he accomplished in his time at LSU. Hopefully being able to do the same things here at South Carolina. But, you know, you and all your teammates are in an interesting spot when this coaching change happens. Of course, Coach Kingston's the one that recruited you and brought you here, and he's no longer going to be the coach. So you don't know who they're going to bring in, and the coaching process was roughly a week before they end up hiring Coach Manieria. What is that decision like from your standpoint to say, okay, I either am going to stay here and go with whoever they bring in, or I try and maybe look somewhere else to continue my career?
Well, in my head, either way, I wanted to be a Gamecock for life. So I knew that was in my head. And then them bringing in Coach Manieria was only a plus, you know, with his past, you know, I knew him coming in. It was only going to make us better. And I knew I wanted to stay and help South Carolina baseball get to where we need to be, which is Omaha. And so once I saw Coach Manieria was here, I knew it only helped our chances for sure.
Eli, I want to get deep in the weeds a little bit. We were talking off air kind of about your pitching style, your repertoire, your specific pitches that you're comfortable with. What can you tell the fans maybe out there about kind of your style? Obviously, they saw it a little bit 2 years ago, but maybe give them a reminder on what they're going to see coming up this year.
Well, the reminder is I'm a pretty confident guy, and I just go out there and have fun. And, I can basically throw it all. I'm going to go out there and give you my best. And, I got every pitch in the back pocket for sure. And I feel comfortable with all of them, and I am comfortable with all of them. So, I don't know, the fans who've seen me in the past know I got a bunch of energy when I'm on that mound, and I hope to be fun to watch out there.
Now, going back to when you played now roughly 2 seasons ago, you did start a couple games, ended up mainly being a bullpen guy. One, do you prefer starts or bullpens, and what kind of role are we expecting out of you this upcoming spring?
Oh, I'm a for sure starter type of guy, and the role you're going to get out of me is hopefully a weekend guy. I mean, I'm not going to be a cocky guy and be like that, but got to go out there and win that spot for sure. And that's what this whole fall is for, is to be able to go out there and improve myself. And so, yeah, in my head, my goal is to be out there on the weekends for sure for South Carolina this coming this spring.
So we were talking about it a little bit earlier. Y'all are in individual work right now, but teamwork will be very soon. I think like 4 days or something? Did you tell me September 30th, 31st?
Yep, team practice starts September 30th.
30th? Okay, so and then that'll mean that's a lot of scrimmaging this time of year, right? What does that kind of look like for you guys on the day-to-day? And then I think y'all are scrimmaging like some other opponents too, like College of Charleston. That should be, I imagine, pretty fun.
Yeah, college. We scrimmaged College of Charleston, I'm pretty sure November 7th, and then we got Air Force October 26th or something. So that October 26th game's coming up pretty quick. So, these next couple of weeks, starting next week, we're going to be scrimmaging a lot, probably 4 times a week, be able to get ourselves ready to be able to face our new opponents, But it's gonna be a pretty hectic couple of weeks, but I'm ready for it. I'm pretty sure all the guys are ready for it too.
You mentioned trying to be one of the weekend stars coming up in the spring. Obviously, that's the goal of pretty much every pitcher. What's that competition going to look like through the fall and leading up to the season starting next year?
I mean, the guys we brought in are the real deal. All these pitchers we got in, we got a bunch of top JUCO arms, a bunch of these freshmen, and I mean, it's no easy spot out there. That's why I didn't want to say nothing, because I got to go out there and prove it. But I mean, all the pitchers we got, all the ones that we got coming in, are all real deal, and everybody's got a chance to win a spot for sure. And so that only makes it more exciting this fall to be able to have that competition against each other.
Eli, I want to go off the field here a little bit, let the fans get to know you. I know you mentioned, I think you said Xbox earlier. Yeah. So if you're not working out, not pitching, nothing to do with athletics, what's Eli Jersenbeck doing in his free time in terms of like hobbies and just kind of your opportunities to get away from the game a little bit?
Well, one hobby I have started to do is I've been going to the shooting range with couple of my buddies. Just going to the shooting range and hitting some targets. He's got a shotgun, so we go keep shooting sometimes. He shoots his shotgun, and then I go pistol shooting sometimes. I try to have some good aim out there, but every time I go, every time I go, it gets a little better. That's the goal.
That feels like a hobby most pitchers would probably have. Yeah, when it comes to hitting targets, right?
Most people say golf. Everything.
I thought that's what you were going to say.
I want to say golf, but I suck at golf. So
same.
I go out there and have fun, but I can't say it's my number one hobby for sure. But I know I'm a pretty simple guy though. I do just about anything. I enjoy going on walks right on the river right near the field, So, I'm just about it. I do go play some pool with the team every now and then. We like to have some pool tournaments.
What are we playing on Xbox?
Oh, I'm a shooter game type of guy. I get away from the sports once I hit the Xbox. I'm playing some Apex or Call of Duty. That's probably the two I'm going for.
No Madden or 2K or anything like that?
Nah, I wish I could, but I don't enjoy the idea of pressing a button for a guy to jump or something.
Okay, that's fair.
I enjoy good shooter games. It takes that. For me, that's the most skill.
Yeah, for sure. So this is one we always do with the football guys that are in here, and we always have them list the best basketball players on the football team. So we don't have to go basketball, but are there some guys on the team that immediately sort of spring to mind that are like just ridiculously good at other sports that you're aware of?
Oh, if we're going basketball players on the baseball team that would be good at basketball, I mean, I could already tell you that. You got Ethan Petrie as your big man.
Okay.
I mean, he's a freak athlete, especially in the paint. You know, we almost trying too hard sometimes. You got I'd put Tyler Dean as small forward. You know, he's quick twitch athlete. He's probably gonna run up and yam on you. I'd probably go. I heard KJ, new freshman. They were putting up shots the other day, just messing around. Apparently, he's got a good shot. So I'll go him, another shooting guard or small forward, and then I'm putting myself point guard personally.
Okay.
And then I mean, I probably put Sweeney back out, the new guy out there too, just because how tall he is, get all the rebounds.
I feel like you instantly knew who have you thought about this? Like you knew who your team was pretty quickly.
I ain't gonna lie, yeah, we have actually talked about this as a team for sure. They probably would be, if other teammates were listening, disagree with me at point guard, but I'll take that while I'm here.
Now, I would say, were you a multi-sport guy in high school too?
In high school, I wasn't. My pops never allowed me to keep playing other sports. He was always pick one, because the high school I went to was a heavy baseball school, so once I got there for high school, I knew I was just baseball. But growing up, middle school, I'd play basketball, and the parents never let me play tackle football, so I was always in there playing flag football. But I enjoyed it. It was fun. But I do still enjoy to go put up some shots, throw the football in the outfield sometimes.
Now, I think your dad might be listening. You want to shout out the family back at home?
Yeah, I'll shout out my pops,
How instrumental have they been, I guess, just in supporting you over the years, man?
I mean, they've been great. I mean, I can't ask for a better family. I mean, especially with my pops having past knowledge in the league. I mean, it's only been able to help me in my career for sure, be able to get it on the right path.
Want to get into your dad's career and how that influenced you coming up next. It is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling on your Thursday here on the game.
All right, guys, this show brought to you by our friends over at Krantz Cooling. Head on over right now, KrantzCooling.com. That's Krantz with a K, Cooling with a K. They want to take care of any and all of your HVAC needs as the weather goes from hot to cold. You want to make sure that your heating systems are ready to go, and you really don't want to be dealing on either side, AC or heating. You don't want to wait for those problems to pop up. Let our friends at Krantz Cooling go ahead and come out and give you a complete system overhaul, or at least check things out and make sure that everything's good to go for the upcoming winter season. Preventative maintenance, a big part of what they do over at Krantz Cooling and Heating. But of course, any problems you may have, AC repair, AC installation, heating repair, heating installation, like I said, preventative maintenance, ductless AC, indoor air quality, or commercial HVAC. They can handle any of that and more for you over at Krantz Cooling. 803-590-8775.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, Eli Jersenbeck from Gamecock Baseball hanging out with us on this Thursday. Mentioned right before the break there that your dad did play in the pros with the Yankees back in 1998.
Yep.
Of course, that was obviously before you were born. But what has it been like in your process of getting to this point in your baseball career, having a dad that has been there and done it all in baseball in his career?
It's great. I mean, he only reminds me every day on what it takes to get to where you want to be, which is the big leagues. And so, yeah, being able to have that in my corner is a reminder every day to basically do what I need, so can't take any day lightly. But also having the people he's played with in the past and the connections he has from that, it's awesome because, I mean, I'll get a random phone call from one of his past teammates, just check it in about my career, and that's awesome to me. And they only remind me the same thing on what it takes. So, yeah, it's great to have.
So now are you a big Yankees fan because of that or not really?
I mean, I consider myself a Yankees fan. I like to be neutral a little bit on for in case or when it happens on what team selects me,
Yeah.
But, growing up, I would consider myself a Yankees fan for sure.
Do you have any other teams in like other sports or not really like?
Nah, I mean, I guess I'm a Panthers fan. I don't know if I would like to claim that this season or nowadays, but probably Panthers fan, probably a Hornets fan, and then definitely a Yankees fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from York County, so I pulled for all those teams. It's a rough life on the sports side of things, man. But do you get to the Gamecock football games around here?
Yeah, I have. I mean, they're awesome. They're great. I mean, going to those student sections is nothing like it. I'm telling you, there's no other stadium like that in college football for sure. I mean, seeing the white towels going up, I mean, it's so fun.
Now, was that a part of your recruiting process for baseball, getting to go to some football games and experiencing that atmosphere? Yeah,
one of the recruiting things we did before I got here was we were on the field for the game. I'm pretty sure the game I came to was we were playing Vanderbilt. So, that's part of the recruiting. It was awesome. I mean, can't say that was the reason I came, but it was only a plus for sure.
So let's sort of, I guess, stay off the field a little bit here. We like to talk food, too. When you think of like the best meal you could possibly have, what immediately comes to mind? Like it can be as specific or as broad as you want, but we always ask.
Specific meal?
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, as an athlete, you're probably waiting for me to say a big steak or something like that. But to be honest with you, I like me a good old French fry.
Okay.
Any place that's got a good French fry, I'm eating it.
Do you have like a tier ranking of your favorite places to get fries from?
I'm going McDonald's 1,
Fair.
And
Classic.
then probably a wild take, but I'm going Bojangles 2. The Cajun fries, you got to have me that.
Underrated, sure.
And then, I mean, those two are top 2. And then I'll take, to be honest, in Columbia, the Zestos. Zestos in Columbia has got one of my favorite fries. They're really fried and really crispy. So, I mean, it's my favorite. But I probably just sponsored them out right there.
Yeah, I feel like you've thought about this quite a bit.
100% have thought about it because, I mean, I'm thinking every day on where I want to get my next fry.
Now, what are you dipping the fries in?
I'm weird, so I go plain. I don't use any sauce.
No, nothing? No sauce? Nothing?
Completely dry.
Wow.
That is the mark of a good French fry, that it doesn't need anything to dip it in. I mean, like, sure, ketchup and barbecue sauce are like compliments, but a really good fry, salted well, nice and warm, that it can stand on its own. I feel that.
Exactly. That's how you know it's my favorite food. I can just eat it on its own, for sure.
Yeah. So, Zesto, if you're listening, hit up Eli. Might have a sponsorship opportunity there, man. What has the NIL space sort of been like from the baseball side? Obviously, we talked about it earlier, Gamecock Club support. This is the NIL interview. But just in general, big picture, like you step into being a student athlete at about the moment all this is becoming a thing. And it was kind of the Wild West there, at least at the very beginning. Maybe still is to an extent. But what has that part of this experience been like for you?
Personally, I think it's awesome, being able to see in the past all these athletes not being able to kind of get what they deserve or what they want, and then now we're able to have the ability, and it's pretty awesome, I mean, thanks to the Gamecock Club and their support, we're able to make things happen, and it's been awesome, and I'm grateful for it.
Now, have you paid any attention to this situation with the UNLV quarterback?
I heard about it yesterday. I did. Yes,
what
sir.
I mean,
crazy.
So, and it obviously is kind of a situation where it's like there's two sides to the
There's
story,
definitely two
I
sides,
guess.
yeah.
And I don't want to put you on the spot with it, but that's just, I mean, I guess maybe the negative side.
I get where the player's coming from for sure.
Yeah.
You know, being told one thing and then it goes the other way.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be mad too. You know, but at the end of the day, you're still an athlete. You gotta, if your goal is to be at the NFL or be a big leaguer. You know, you kind of got to do what you got to do, which is play.
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep up with the news around the evolving of NIL and what they're trying to do with bring a little more structure to it in the future?
No, I have not seen or heard anything on what they're trying to do.
Well, there's some potential big changes coming down the line. I don't know if it's going to be happening within your career or not, but they're trying to get it, put a little more parameters around it, I guess, because it is very wide open, like we've seen with the kid at UNLV.
For sure.
Yeah. Let's get, I guess, back onto the field here. We talked about team scrimmages coming up. What does that look like for a pitcher? Like, do they still sort of put you on the same rest schedule as like you would be during the regular season? Like when you go into a particular game or scrimmage, I'm saying, is it like, all right, he's got this as a pitch count for this particular day? How does all that work just almost like structurally?
Yeah, you kind of just, like this fall, we play it kind of like in season in a way, like where the days you throw your lives or your long bullpens would be the same day, would be one day out of the week, just like in season, you'd be having a start and then a week later having another start. So, yeah, they kind of just play it off the same way. And now, I mean, the fall is kind of more of finding your routine, you know? Like, you'll have your routine in the spring, but this fall is more of like finding and kind of what works for you, what feels good to be able to get you ready for that day. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of just like season right now, just other than playing the games.
Now, how long will they let you go in a start in the fall? They're just trying to get as many guys out there as possible. They're saying what your length is. Like, what's kind of the game plan for a scrimmage in the fall?
Yeah, every time we go out there, we definitely add more pitches. Like right now, we're at like probably a 25, 30 pitch count, and then I don't think we'll probably exceed more than 50 pitches this spring or this fall. So, I mean, Coach Rooney may have a different thought on that, but I think that what I've been told, I don't know if we'll be going more than 50, but I mean, you'll probably go, if we're going off innings, probably 2 to 3 innings too. You know, like the scrimmages against College Charleston and Air Force. I don't think any pitcher will go more than probably 2 innings. But nah, it's just getting everybody ready to go.
I know we did talk about this a little bit earlier, but how are you feeling, man? Like, how good has it been just to get back out there? And you know, we were talking a little bit off air. Seems like the numbers are where you want them to be. How does it felt just to get back out there and sort of let it fly?
I mean, with how I feel right now, I'm just itching to be back on that mountain facing another team. I mean, I feel great. I feel ready to go. Thanks to Dr. Meister out in Texas. I mean, I feel absolutely beyond blessed and ready to go. I mean, my arms never felt this loose. The ball's never jumped out my hand the way it is. So the Eli jersey back, the Gamecock baseball got to see freshman year is a lot different, or this year is going to be a lot different than the one they got to see my freshman year. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm ready to prove it.
And when it comes to injuries, your dad obviously dealt with his fair share that, you know, prevented his career from being longer than it was at the pro level. Like, what's he meant to you in this process of getting back to where you can finally get on the mound after getting hurt last year?
Just to be, I mean, to have him, it's awesome because, I mean, he just tells me to be patient. You know, everything happens for a reason. You can't, this game, make it to big leagues, a game of baseball, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You know, everybody's trying to reach and rush it, you know, but everybody's got their own path, own journey, you know. So, being able to have, especially a father who's had past injuries that kind of been through the same process, I mean, it's comforting to have for sure.
And I know, Eli, you mentioned earlier when you made the decision to come to South Carolina, being able to play, you know, in the SEC. And what has that part been like? I know you experienced it as a freshman getting out there a little bit, but you're going to get that and more coming up this year to just be out there in front of these fans, you know, 8,000 people out there. You're talking about the highest level of baseball, at least at the college level. Like, one, how much do you think that prepares you sort of for the next level? But two, it's got to just be an awesome experience to know you're pitching in games that, like, matter and people care about and that there's an atmosphere around you.
No, I mean, it's truly amazing. It's truly a blessing because, I mean, just going out on that mound, seeing, 6,000, 8,000 fans sometimes, I mean, it's awesome to be able to soak it all in. And it's almost addicting, you know. Every time you get out there and pitch, you finish your outing, you're itching for the next one, you know. So it's awesome. Definitely prepares you for when you get to pro ball and eventually the big leagues. Because I mean, what other schools other than the SEC are you getting that many fans to come out and watch you? I mean, it's awesome.
Was there ever a moment early in your career where you're almost kind of like shocked by the crowd you're playing in front of, or how big the atmosphere felt compared to like what you were doing in high school?
I mean, probably, yeah, my first time out there, I can't say I was ready for it, you know? I mean, I was prepared for it, but I wasn't, say, mentally ready for it. I mean, when I got out there, I was starstruck, you know? I mean, it was awesome. But, yeah, I mean, thinking about it right now, you guys have me talking about it now. I'm just itching for it this spring, you know?
Hey, I'll be here before we know it.
Yeah.
We'll come back and wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Club Hour, presented by Crantini and Cooling, hanging out with Eli Jersenbeck from Gamecock Baseball. Reminder, as the day rolls along, more opportunities for you to win tickets to go see South Carolina and Ole Miss coming up next Saturday, sponsored by our friends over at Carolina Honda Powerhouse. Keep listening all day long for your next chance to win tickets. The Gamecock Club Hour, presented by Crantini and Cooling, here on the Game. Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, and Eli Jersenbeck from Gamecock Baseball hanging out here for a couple more minutes. Just want to get a little bit more knowing you off the field here. I see you're listed as a criminal justice and criminology major. Well, what's the story behind that? And outside of baseball, what's the career aspirations there?
You know what? I can't really say there's really much aspirations with criminal justice, you know. But before I came here, I can't say I would have known I was going to be in criminal justice. All my teammates are doing sports management, things like that. And, I saw criminal justice. I was like, why not? I enjoy old show called Castle.
Okay.
And I enjoy, crime documentaries a little bit. So, I saw it, and I was like, why not? You know, you never know what your calling could be. So, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying what I'm learning. And, who knows? I could be in the FBI in the future.
Hey, maybe so. Well, what kind of things are you doing, in classes for that? What kind of things are you learning?
We're learning about, the correctional system and criminal procedures and, things people got to do, going through bail and going through processes like that. But, it's pretty simple stuff right now. Just had my first exam the other day. Did good. So, I guess I'm learning. Yes, sir.
I think this is the first mention of Castle, the TV show we've had on the show. What do you have any other binge-worthy favorites that you watch?
Nothing. There's nothing better than a good Breaking Bad or Ozark. But where my nerd comes out is probably The Walking Dead.
Okay, yeah.
I enjoy that. But there's a new one. Only one episode's come out, but The Penguin on HBO Max about the Penguin in Gotham. It is a good one. It's a good one.
I have to ask this as somebody that used to watch The Walking Dead. Was there ever a point where you wanted to give up on the show, or have you stuck through it the entire time?
I stuck through it. It just gives something about watching it. It gives me a good vibe. At the end of the day, getting to go and watch that, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It does get a little slow at points, but I thugged it out. I pushed it through.
I'll admit I bowed out about 7 years ago and haven't returned. So you're stronger than me on that front.
I feel like for a stretch, though, it was one of the best shows.
Oh, it was hot for the first 6-7 years, and then it got a little rocky at times.
They're still coming out with new things nowadays.
I can't believe it's still going.
It's not dying.
There's spinoffs and stuff, right?
Spinoffs, and pretty sure the newest season, the last season 12 or something, was only 3 years ago, something like that.
I couldn't believe it lasted as long as it did.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So we actually had Henry Kazmar on for one of these. He told us that, he transferred in from Ohio State. I can't remember his exact wording, but he was like, man, this is one of the closest knit baseball teams I've ever been on. When you have, obviously there's always going to be roster turnover in college athletics, and you guys have had a lot of transfers come in. What is that process like in terms of just, team building, locker room building, just sort of gelling together as an overall team?
Well, Coach Maneri made it a point this first day of meeting that we're not going to be the guys who new here and the guys who've been here. Everybody's going to be one big family, and we kind of made sure we did that. The second that meeting was over, we're going in the locker room, fooling around, and we do a lot of things as a team to create that team bonding, and it's been great. And I agree with Henry with that this team is one big family, and as being on the 3 teams that I've been on, this is one of the tightest groups we've had.
Imagine you and everybody else in the group of pitchers have a lot of fun together.
Yeah,
it's a pretty fun group.
For sure. But like I said, every day we go out there, it's like competition against each other. So it's fun. It's very fun. And being able to go out there and compete against each other only makes it more fun.
Not to maybe single anybody out, but is there a guy or two in terms of teammates that you've just been like, wow, this... That maybe it's a guy, a Gamecock fan. Everybody knows about Petrie. Give us maybe a guy or two you've just noticed that you're like, man, that kid's talented. He's going to make an impact. Anybody that springs to mind?
Well, we got Jackson Soucy, lefty from Canada. I watched him throw the other day because, we're individual right now, so there's not many opportunities to watch everybody.
Right.
But I did get to watch him, and, he's going to be a huge impact. He's going up there throwing an easy 94 from the left side. Big frame. So, he's real deal and for sure going to help us this year. And other guys, you said you brought Henry on the show. Henry's I saw him hit the other day during a coach pitch scrimmage. I'm pretty sure he had 2 bombs during it. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm just naming those 2 guys, but I guarantee you there's about 15 other guys I have a name that going to make the same type of impact.
I meant to ask this earlier when we were talking about coaches, and I forgot, but I want to bring it up here as we close out. Monty Lee seems to be loved by everybody on the team. A lot of support for him to maybe even end up being the head coach after Coach Kingston was let go. What is it about him that resonates so well with you guys, and how excited are you all to have him back for another season this year?
I think the thing about Monty that makes that everybody loves him for is he's just so straight up. He's going to just tell you how it is, and that's why everybody respects Monty for Monty. But I mean, being able to knowing when I was coming back this year that he was going to be here, I was fired up because, having Monty in your corner is awesome.
Have you gotten a taste of this Clemson-Carolina rivalry in your time here as far as, like, what it means to people in this state?
For sure. I have. I've 100% gotten to know it. I do know now that I cannot wear orange anywhere, and I do not want to wear orange anywhere. And so, the rivalry is huge. I mean, I got all the new guys asking me, what's the biggest games? What's the biggest games? And I was like, nothing's compared to the Clemson, South Carolina games, I mean, the fans and the rivalry we have for that series is awesome. It's unbeatable.
That atmosphere, the 2 games played at the one game played at Segra last year, and then I guess the other game was the one up there. You get to play the one here because of the weather or whatever. But man, the energy of those games is just it's like nothing else you do the entire year. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean, of course you have mutual respect for the other players and stuff, but I mean you're dogging at each other, the whole time. The fans are dogging at each other the whole time too. So I mean it's fun. You eat it up and. Yeah, that's one series I'm really looking forward to.
Got right at about a minute before we get out of here. Again, thanks so much for hanging out with us, and for anybody that is anxious about the season coming up. Well, what's the reason to be excited about what you guys have coming in 2025?
Well, this is the goal to South Carolina is to make it to Omaha, and I'm telling you right now, this is the team that's going to do it. And I mean, just be excited to watch a great baseball team this spring.
Yeah, well, we're certainly hoping that's the case, and we've been anxiously waiting to be able to talk about an Omaha team. It feels like you guys have been so close these past couple of years. Obviously, what happened in 2023, getting all the way to Super Regional, and when you bring in a guy like Coach Maneri, who has the pedigree, has been there plenty of times before, and hopefully we see you guys get there this upcoming year.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a great experience.
No, man, absolutely. We certainly appreciate it. Always enjoy getting any athletes in here, but especially you guys from the baseball team, and want to wish you and the team the best of luck, and hopefully we'll be talking about you into you plenty more times between now and then.
Perfect. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Shout out to the Pops again. Thanks for watching.
There you go. Well, we appreciate it. This has been the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling. Coming up next, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on your Thursday here on the Game.